Tijuana's new migrant shelter, why this new location also brings new obstacles for some asylum seekers. And a break for residents in Barrio Logan, how a decision made today will send large trucks out of their neighborhood.
This package means that low-income kids from all neighborhoods will have access to the education they deserve and a real chance at success.
State lawmakers pitch a $2 billion investment in preschool. How many kids with the extra money support? And the name change coming to the San Diego Sports Arena. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebone Monet. There's a new shelter for asylum seekers in Tijuana. The city closed the first shelter due to unsanitary conditions, but the new shelter's location presents new issues for people hoping to come to the U.S. KPBS border reporter Jean Guerrero has a story.
The new shelter is an abandoned concert hall called El Barretal in the eastern Tijuana neighborhood of Mariano Matamoros. It has more than enough room for everyone, with a capacity for 7,500. About 2,400 people have been brought here already. Migrants say it's better than the old facility. It's spacious, with a large parking area where people bring donations, and closed areas that provide shelter from the rain. But it's a 30-minute drive from the San Isidro port of entry, where people who want to request asylum in the U.S. must put their names on a wait list, then follow up to check their status. Most people have no idea how to get there. Manuel Antonio Lopez says he fled Honduras after receiving death threats. He put his name on the wait list while at the old shelter, a short walk from the port. He was given a number on a scrap of notebook paper, 1,479.
I haven't gone back since I got here. I don't know the status of the list. If it's my turn yet, I don't know.
He says he has no money to pay for bus tickets to get to the port. This Honduran woman is also confused about the asylum process. She spoke on condition of anonymity because she fears for her life. She says she fled her country with her 2 daughters after her husband, an electrician, was killed for refusing to pay money to the gangs.
Someone put me down for asylum, but they didn't give me a number yet. They said they sent it to me through my phone.
She teared up in indignation and fear when talking about the lack of privacy at the shelter. Journalists are allowed to come in unsupervised. She says cameras are everywhere when she tries to shower with her daughters.
There isn't any privacy. The cameras are always focusing on us, taking photos all the time. We are not actors. Why are the cameras following us?
But she says she's going to try to have patience, because going back to Honduras isn't an option for her. Jean Guerrero, KPBS News.
Community activists celebrate a decision they say will lead to cleaner air in Barrio Logan. Today, the City Council adopted a new resolution. It calls for the city to establish a new route for large trucks. The Environmental Health Coalition says it has collected data that shows heavy trucks were sending harmful contaminants into neighborhoods. Thousands of credit checks are done every day on people trying to get a loan or a line of credit. But in this process, consumers can wind up wrongly linked to a government blacklist. iNews Source reporter Alon Stevens explains.
The Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC for short, keeps a financial blacklist that's filled with the names of international terrorist and drug cartel kingpins. The people on it are considered enemies of the U.S. Businesses and individuals are banned from doing business with them. That's why credit check companies run consumer names against the list on behalf of businesses offering loans and credit cards. But those credit check companies sometimes get it wrong. That's what happened with Alvaro Rodarte, a San Fernando Valley construction worker, when he tried to co-sign for a car loan.
I kept feeling like CIA or FBI or who knows what was about to kick down my door, take me in handcuffs and put me away.
The government never came calling in his case because he was in fact not on the list. A credit check company had misidentified him. David Long is a former U.S. Labor Department special agent and a criminal justice professor in San Diego. He says these kinds of OFAC false positives happen all the time, and faulty software is the problem.
situation, though, has been with some programs of producing false positives for people that are not on the list but are flagged by the software programs by the financial institution.
If you want to see if your name or people with similar names to yours are on the OFAC list, you can use a search tool on the Treasury Department's website. For KPBS, I'm iNews Source reporter Alon Stevens.
iNews Source is an independently funded nonprofit media partner of KPBS. Arrests in California have declined dramatically. KPBS editor Tom Fudge has a closer look at the numbers released by the Public Policy Institute of California.
The PPIC study looked at arrests in California between 1980 and 2016. By 2016, arrest rates had dropped 58% from a high seen in 1989. Most of the overall decline came from plummeting numbers of arrests among the young. For instance, the arrest rate for those aged 17 or younger dropped by 84%. The numbers in the study reflect falling crime rates. They also reflect changes in the law that made, for instance, felony drug arrests also plummet just 4 years ago. Racial disparities among those arrested also declined, but much more modestly. African Americans were still 3 times more likely than whites to be arrested in California in 2016. Tom Fudge, KPBS News.
The nation's largest city will make drone technology a bigger part of its police force. The NYPD is showing off its fleet of 14 drones. They will be used for hazmat and hostage situations and to reach inaccessible areas during search and rescue operations. Police officials say they understand the privacy concerns.
The NYPD is aware that there are some concerns about this announcement. So let me be clear, NYPD drones will not be used for warrantless surveillances. NYPD drones will be used to save lives.
The use of drones is a growing trend in law enforcement. Earlier this year, police in Chula Vista started using the technology. Dignitaries from around the world and everyday Americans are among those visiting the U.S. Capitol to pay their respects to former President George H.W. Bush. A touching moment came today when former Senator Bob Dole was helped out of his wheelchair to salute Bush. Dole is 95 and, like Bush, a World War II veteran. Dole also was a Republican nominee for president in 1996. KPBS will carry live coverage of the funeral of George H.W. Bush. Television coverage by PBS NewsHour will begin at 7 a.m. Radio coverage by NPR is scheduled to begin at 8. Democratic lawmakers in Sacramento want to spend an additional $2 billion on early childhood education. A package of bills under consideration would include a focus on preschool. Right now, the state covers preschool for about 175,000 children. This new proposal would create room for 110,000 more.
In education, early education, we're behind. And it's frankly embarrassing that we have plenty of states around the nation, including red states, not a partisan issue, who have stepped up and realized if you want to focus on student achievement, you start by investing in our youngest learners.
Supporters of the plan say it might be difficult to pass the bill due to the $2 billion cost. They believe the additional resources will improve test scores over time. The San Diego Sports Arena will soon have a new name. This afternoon, the City Council approved a naming rights deal that would rename the facility Pechanga Arena San Diego. The San Diego Union-Tribune reports the Pechanga Resort, which is based in Temecula, will pay $400,000 per year for the naming rights. The city will get a share of the revenue. The deal will last until May of 2020, when the city and the arena's operator are.
We have arrived.
It's another feat of engineering for NASA. The space agency worked with Lockheed Martin to reach an asteroid that's 76 million miles away. The spacecraft, named OSIRIS-REx, is the size of an SUV. The plan is to collect samples and return back to Earth in 2023. Scientists believe the ancient asteroid could hold evidence dating back to the beginning of the solar system. It took 7 minutes for that spacecraft to send a message back to Earth. Anissa Ramirez is a scientist and author who studies the way we communicate. She spoke with SciTech Now about social media and how the telegraph may have been a precursor.
So was Telegraph, was that the first Twitter?
I think it's the precursor to Twitter, for the same reasons that Twitter only...
We have arrived.
It's another feat of engineering for NASA. The space agency worked with Lockheed Martin to reach an asteroid that's 76 million miles away. The spacecraft, named OSIRIS-REx, is the size of an SUV. The plan is to collect samples and return back to Earth in 2023. Scientists believe the ancient asteroid could hold evidence dating back to the beginning of the solar system. It took 7 minutes for that spacecraft to send a message back to Earth. Anissa Ramirez is a scientist and author who studies the way we communicate. She spoke with SciTech Now about social media and how the telegraph may have been a precursor.
So was Telegraph, was that the first Twitter?
I think it's the precursor to Twitter, for the same reasons that Twitter only...
Nearly 3 miles of Interstate 5 will be shut down overnight through La Jolla. The closures begin at 9:30 and last until 5 in the morning. This will happen over the next 2 nights from the 805 to La Jolla Village Drive. The closures are related to work being done on the trolley extension. Now, here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. On Morning Edition, the funeral of President George H.W. Bush. KPBS will carry NPR's special live coverage from Washington. And on Midday Edition, an exit interview with David Alvarez. The city council member tells us what's next as he prepares to leave City Hall. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night. Are expected to renegotiate a new lease.